So many of you have asked for this video that I finally had to make it. Some of the most insane cruise news stories we've ever covered, they didn't just fade away when the video stopped trending, they kept going. You kept asking, so I went out and found the receipts, the filings, the statements, the final outcomes nobody else bothered to follow up on. If you've ever wondered what really happens after the viral moment dies, keep watching. We start with one that you're sure to remember. Story number 1, the Great Gambling Getaway. September 7th, 2025. A man with 5 fake IDs jumps off a cruise ship in broad daylight to avoid $17,000 in gambling debt. 2 random guys on jet skis pull him out of the water. The FBI is waiting on shore. And somehow it gets even weirder from there. This is the story of Jay Gonzalez Diaz, and it's exactly as insane as it sounds. Royal Caribbean's Rhapsody of the Seas docks in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Passengers are disembarking, custom agents are boarding for inspection, and Jay Gonzalez Diaz, who's been living his best casino life all week, decides his exit strategy is to jump into the ocean. At 9:15 in the morning in broad daylight with surveillance cameras rolling, his gambling debt, $16,710, almost entirely from the ship's casino. Here's where it gets good. 2 random guys on jet skis are passing by. They pull him out like he's Leonardo DiCaprio at the end of Titanic, if Jack had been running from debt collectors. Homeland Security is waiting on shore because nothing says low profile like jumping off a cruise ship in broad daylight. When agents asked why he jumped, he tells them that he didn't want to report the $14,600 in cash he was carrying because he thought he'd be taxed. So let me get this straight. The man gambled away 17 grand, jumped overboard to avoid customs, and then thought taxes were his biggest problem. But wait, it gets better. Agents find 5 different IDs on him. 3 say Jeremy Diaz, 2 say his real name. Turns out he boarded the ship using his brother's name, who is currently in federal prison for drug trafficking. When they ask him his real name, he says, if you guys were good at your job, you'd already know that. That's not criminal genius. That's a bad episode of Ozark. The ending? Federal charges, released on bail, case still pending as of today. Royal Caribbean promised adventure at sea. They weren't lying. Hey, quick question. Would you jump off a cruise ship to avoid 17 grand in debt? Comment yes or absolutely not. I'm genuinely curious. Story number 2, the hidden camera nightmare. You're on vacation, you board a cruise ship, you trust the staff with access to your room. And then you find a hidden camera underneath the bathroom sink. This is the story of Arvin Joseph Mirasol and nearly 1,000 passengers who became his victims. February 25th, 2024, Symphony of the Seas. A guest reaches under her bathroom sink to grab toilet paper and finds a camera, hidden, recording, pointed directly at the shower. She reports it to security. They detain the room attendant, Mirasol. He's 34 and from the Philippines. And when authorities search his electronics, they find hundreds of videos. Naked women, naked children, ages between 2 and 17. Here's where it gets worse. Mirasol didn't just plant cameras. He admitted to investigators that while guests were showering, he'd enter their rooms and hide under their beds, recording them with his phone as they got out. When asked how he chose which rooms to target, he told federal agents, "If I like who it is in the room, I place it." He'd been doing this since December 2023. 3 months, multiple cruises, up to 960 passengers potentially filmed without their knowledge. And this wasn't even the first time. A year earlier, another hidden camera was found in a public bathroom on Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas. That one recorded over 150 people, including 40 children. The outcome? Mirasol was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison in August 2024. 30 years for producing illegal images of minors and invasion of privacy. But the lawsuits? They're actually still going. Multiple class action lawsuits filed against Royal Caribbean. 19 passengers from across the US and Canada suing for negligence, invasion of privacy, and emotional distress. The cruise line says they have zero tolerance and fired Mirasol immediately. But victims' attorneys point out Royal Caribbean knew this was an issue after the 2023 incident and didn't do enough to prevent it from happening again. As of today, those lawsuits are ongoing. No settlements announced, no final resolution. But here's what we know. Nearly 1,000 people boarded a cruise ship thinking they were safe, and instead, their most private moments may be circulating on the dark web forever. The takeaway? When you book a cruise, you're trusting complete strangers with access to your most vulnerable moments. And sometimes that trust gets betrayed in the worst way possible. Here's what you can do right now. When you check into your cruise cabin, take 60 seconds to scan around for hidden cameras. Check smoke detectors, outlets, USB ports, mirrors, and anything under the bathroom sink. It's quick, it's easy, and it could save you from becoming victim number 961. Hey guys, I know that one was kind of dark, kind of scary. Take a breath because the next story is going to make you angry for completely different reasons. But first, let's talk about what you should be capturing on your cruise and the camera you should be using to capture it. The GoPro Hero 13 Black is the ultimate cruise companion. Shoot up to 5.3K video for your port adventures. It's waterproof up to 33 feet without housing, so you can take it snorkeling in Cozumel or diving in the Caribbean. Hypersmooth 6.0 keeps your footage stable when filming ship tours. And the improved battery life means you'll capture every moment from sunrise photography on the deck to that incredible snorkel excursion in Mexico. Your cruise should be memorable for the right reasons. I personally use the GoPro 13 Black. It's a great action camera perfect for that cruise life. The link is in the description. If you use our link, it will really help our channel. Okay, now let's talk about greed, broken promises, and a company that took everything from over 100 people. Story number 3, the cruise that never was. This is the story of Life at Sea Cruises, and it's one of the biggest cruise scams in history. Over 100 people drained their life savings, sold their homes, quit their jobs, shipped their belongings halfway around the world, all for a 3-year cruise around the world. And then, 2 weeks before departure, the company tells you, sorry, there's no ship. March 2023, a company called Murray Cruises launches Life at Sea, a 3-year round-the-world voyage, 1,095 days, 140 countries, 7 continents. The pitch? Affordable. Starting at just $30,000 per year, all-inclusive, food, drinks, laundry, even healthcare. You could live on the ship for less than the average living expenses. For retirees and remote workers, it sounded perfect. Over 100 people signed up. Some paid $90,000, others paid up to $975,000 for premium suites, in full, to get a discount. Meredith Shea, a retired flight attendant, was the first to book. She was paying $35,000 a month. Carrie Whitman from Cincinnati sold her house. A 76-year-old widower sold his house and his car. They shipped belongings to the departure port. They quit jobs. They canceled leases. They were all in. November 1st, 2023. Departure from Istanbul, except there's no ship. The company delays till November 11th, then November 30th. Then on November 17th, less than 2 weeks before the third departure date, the CEO who just resigned sends passengers a video. The cruise is canceled. Why? The company admits they couldn't afford to buy a ship. They'd told passengers their money wasn't being used for upfront capital. Turns out, they used $16 million in passenger deposits to try to buy a vessel. And they got outbid. Investors pulled out faster than people evacuating the Titanic, except this time, there was no ship to evacuate from. The company tried to buy another ship, failed again, and then just gave up. Passengers were devastated. Some had already arrived in Istanbul. One couple was stranded in a hotel. Another woman, diagnosed with cancer, had to delay treatment because her money was gone. The company promised refunds in monthly installments starting mid-December 2023. By January 2024, only 4 passengers of over 100 had received partial refunds. So 78 passengers joined forces. They sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, demanding a criminal fraud investigation. And in September 2024, Life at Sea Cruises files for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. As of today, most passengers still haven't been made whole. Some are homeless, some are broke, some lost their life savings to a company that promised the world and delivered absolutely nothing. The lesson? If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Especially when it involves wiring your life savings to a Turkish cruise company that's been in business for 3 months. Life at Sea promised the adventure of a lifetime. What they delivered was financial devastation, broken dreams, and a masterclass in how not to trust a startup cruise line. If you had sold your house for this cruise, what would you do? Let me know in the comments. All right, we have covered gambling debt, predators, and financial devastation. Let's end on something a little lighter. If you can call FBI involvement and an $18 million severance package lighter. This one's about wealth, ego, and the most expensive pair of bare feet in cruise history. Story 4, the Barefoot Bandit Blues. Do you guys remember the guy who got choked for dancing barefoot on a Virgin Voyages cruise? Yeah, that story. Well, hold my pina colada, because what happens next is insane. March 2025. Virgin Voyages' resilient lady, the CEO of a $6 billion company, Kenneth DeGiorgio, he pulls down $7.8 million a year. He's cruising with his wife. A passenger is dancing barefoot. DeGiorgio's wife approaches him. Hey, we're all grown-ups here. Can you put some shoes on? The guy's response? Tells her to shut up, drops some choice words, and gives her the middle finger. And DeGiorgio? He walks over, according to FBI surveillance footage, grabs the guy by the throat, and allegedly threatens to end him. The FBI arrests him in San Juan, assault charges, up to a year in prison. Here's where it gets good. First American Financial fires him 2 weeks later. But this is corporate America, baby. They fire him without causes. His severance package? $18.6 million. Let me say that again. This man allegedly choked someone over bare feet and walks away with nearly $20 million. Oh, and in May, federal prosecutors dropped all charges. Case dismissed. No trial, no conviction, nothing. The lesson? In corporate America, assault has a golden parachute. This man allegedly grabbed someone by the throat over footwear etiquette and walked away with more money than most people make in 10 lifetimes. Virgin Voyages promised an adults-only experience. They delivered a masterclass in how wealth protects you from consequences. And hey, I guess you should wear your shoes. Apparently it matters. All right, guys, so let's recap. A man thought he could outswim federal customs with 5 fake IDs. A predator violated nearly 1,000 passengers and got 30 years in prison. Over 100 people lost their life savings to a cruise that never existed. And a CEO assaulted someone over bare feet and walked away richer than he started. 4 stories, 4 very different outcomes. Hit that subscribe button because we're not done. There are more stories, more lawsuits, more insanity coming your way. Drop a comment. Which story shocked you the most? I'll be reading every single one. And hey, if you guys liked this video, make sure you check out my Am I a Karen videos. I've got part 1 and part 2. They're both wild. They show a lot of different cruise news stories of people acting like Karens on cruise ships. It is entertaining and educational. Make sure to check it out. Hey, we'll see you guys again next time.